back in 2018, right? Like you produced and directed your first ever live action sci-fi short film, which was
Yeah.
Andromeda, I should say.
Yeah.
But what was that like? Like, what inspired you to create your own work?
Actually, I should say before that, my first animated short was done in 2012, and I taught myself Flash. So
Wow.
I'd kind
Sorry.
of been making no, it's all good. Like I've just kind of always been making stuff for myself and trying to figure out a way to work that in with my industry jobs, basically. um, but yes, to 100%, I kind of made Andromeda in 2018, and that was my first real step into live action. And that was actually after I worked on a film called Hotel Artemis, and I'd been on a live action set and worked with Drew Pearce and the cinematographer Chung Hun Chung, and I kind of like was like, okay, I think I can give this a crack. I'm not sure. But honestly, I think I was getting a little bit burnt out after doing years and years of Legos. There's only so many years you can draw boxy Lego figures.
But
And I was like, if it was up to me, what would I really want to make? I wrote this short story or this short film really quickly. I wish I'd actually spent more time on the script. And I just kind of reached out to friends and was, is there anyone who's happy to produce, and an actor I met when I was dog walking. His name's Aaron Glenane. He's a great Aussie friend of mine, and he's since gone on to do like Snowpiercer, the TV show, and Interceptor on Netflix. But I was just walking my dog, and he was walking his friend's dog, and we ran into each other, and I was like, I want to make a film. Do you want to be in it?
love that.
And he's like, yeah, why not? Yeah, and then just like friends of friends got together, and just after helping out at Warner Brothers, I kind of made friends and with a few of the execs, and they hooked me up with a great cinematographer, Logan Triplett, and just other great folks. And we shot this thing in 3 days in LA and down at Point Doom in Malibu. And I very slowly went into the post-production process because it ended up taking a lot longer than I thought it would, and came out the other side and submitted it to festivals and stuff. But it was a really good experience, and I think that might have been maybe the reason why I got called in for LDR, because they said they were interested in people who had done animation and live action and could do both.
Cool. And I'm curious too, like, again, like what was that experience like? Did you learn a lot from making a live action short film in this case? Again, just the kind of experiences you get, such as post-production being a nightmare. Is there any big key takeaways that you have from doing that have carried over to other projects?
I wore a lot of hats on that production just because, it's an indie and you're wanting to save money. At a certain point, I realized, you really have to have people doing this job. It's a professional job. I think I was like semi-producing. I was writing, directing, acting, production design, helping with set dressing, and you're just pulled in too many directions. And it actually made me appreciate the industry again, because I was like, it's just so nice when one person can do that one thing really well, and this other person can do this other thing really well. So I learned that I'm not good at wearing too many hats like that. Also, I had to step in as an actor, which I'm not really an actor. So, because we couldn't land an actor for this little bit part. So you just learn a lot just going through the pipeline from the start to finish, to be honest, because when you're in the industry and you're kind of doing your own little piece of the puzzle, you're only seeing things in this kind of very narrow view. But when you zoom out and you're directing something or involved in something from A to Z, then you really go, okay, I see how it all fits together and why things happen the way they do and how much things cost, which is a really important thing to know. So yeah, it was really just a way for me to learn, which was great. Hopefully other people got something out of it too.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I guess like I'm gonna leave this as a pretty open-ended question, but do you have any advice for people who are thinking about creating a short film, or, just in terms of either getting started or, like I said, keeping this completely open-ended? Like, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, well, one, you just got to do it. There's always plenty of reasons not to do something, and you're never going to be ready. There's never going to be a perfect time. You just have to do it now, no matter how inconvenient it is. So you got to get yourself in that mindset. I'll tell you a mistake that I made, which was I rushed the pre-production and then had to kind of eat the cost of that in the post-production. So I rushed the pre-production in that I thought I was just going to make, just kind of like a scene. I wasn't even thinking of like a short. I was just like, I just want to film a scene. There's this thing that I'm imagining about an android and a little girl. And then it started ballooning and ballooning and ballooning and became a full-on short. I advise people to have your idea on paper, figured out in the script stage, so that way you don't have to eat the cost of it down the pipeline. And that's just a golden rule for any production, I'd say. The more that you can figure out in the pre-production, the better.
I think it's great advice. I'm curious too, just in terms of your production banner, Grade 8 Productions, you're working on a graphic novel right now. Is that right? Can you talk a little bit about that IP?
So it's an idea I came up with, I guess, in 2015, but I've sort of just been working on it. The graphic novel is called Iora, and it's a sci-fi world called Iora set in a distant galaxy somewhere, not related to Earth. And the story is about two sisters. Kira Khan is a 17-year-old girl she's a teenager. She's a crabfish farmer, and she is raising her little sister May, who's about 6 or 7 years old. And May is like kind of tempestuous. She's a stubborn little kid, but more importantly, she has supernatural psychic powers. And I kind of describe it like this 17-year-old girl is trying to raise the atom bomb, basically. It's set on this distant planet, on a desert planet inspired by Australia, actually, a post-climate apocalyptic
That'll never happen.
May and her powers get discovered by this kind of evil, kind of imperial force. I'm not calling it the Empire because I don't want any comparisons to Star Wars. But Kira and May are forced to go on the run and become refugees across the desert to find a safe place to save May from being captured and turned into a weapon for the enemy. Yeah, and it's based on my grandparents a little bit being refugees from China during World War II. And it's sci-fi, YA, epic fantasy series. Yeah.
That's cool.
Thanks.
Do you have any release date of like when you think it will be coming out?
I'm actually taking it to publishers this fall because I tried to pitch it as an animated series a few years ago, like a year or two ago. And the response I got from everyone I pitched to was like, oh man, this is so cool. We love the idea. You seem really cool, but we're never going to make this. Never in 100 years. And I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Knock on Netflix door now and say, hey, remember me?
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I'll definitely keep an eye out for it.